Syed Hadi Naqvi from Astor.
Hello, everyone. I am Syed Hadi Naqvi, or you guys know me as Hadi Naqvi, and I am proud to be joined by Erasmus Moore from the Gaming Dad entrepreneur, business owner, and individual developer community on Facebook. And I'm doing this to showcase everyone and give you guys the platform to actually vocalize your abilities, your talents, your business, why people should be talking to you, and more importantly, because a lot of people are unsung in what they do. They should be given that platform because you guys work hard. Why not give you that platform and let the world know what you actually do? So I'm going to introduce Erasmus to everyone. Erasmus was born and raised in Maine, USA. He studied human ecology as an undergraduate and received a master's in vocal performance. Once a music educator and education reform advocate, he now works in healthcare policy for one of the largest healthcare systems in New England. He has sung for various symphonic, such as tenor soloists, notably the Bangor Symphony in recent years, and has composed music for half a dozen Buster Keaton short movies for silent film festivals in the Mid-Coast, especially in Maine. Currently, he has been writing music inspired by his favorite Game Boy, NES, and SNES. The titles including Pokemon, Blue, DuckTales, and Sunset Riders. These were amazing games. And more importantly, let's go into the crux of it. So, there was one other thing that I had to mention. Where are you gone? Oh my God, where did it go? Here we go. Which is that he teaches folk remotely in terms of vocal performance, music technology composition, including gaming composition and music theory using a mindset-centered and impartial approach to education. And I am extremely proud to have Erasmus on board here. And I hope you guys will enjoy listening to Erasmus's story and get inspired as well. And maybe, he might even give you a discount. But let's take it one step at a time. So Erasmus, tell us about yourself.
Sure. Aside from
I hope I've given a really good introduction.
that was perfect. That was awesome. Yeah. So I'm primarily a musician, but being in I don't know if you're familiar with Maine in the U.S. much, but music and art, it's a little bit more challenging to make a living. So I made the transfer over to healthcare for stability, but I still am a weekly church pianist, and I still do composition, and I still teach when people ask me, either typically not anymore weekly because people are busy and it's hard to schedule weekly things. So I a lot of times I'll like teach them ad hoc or monthly or whenever they're like, hey, I have a question about this, or can you show me a little bit of technique about this, and I'll oblige them. But yeah, I'm kind of starting to rebuild my musical capacity as my normal, boring job is stabilized my income. So yeah, I'm happy to talk a little bit about everything.
Hey everyone, you might be lucky to get safety boots from your employer, and these are absolutely fine to have, but guess what? They don't necessarily have the right supports and can leave you feeling aches and pains, especially in your arches at the end of the day, leading to fallen arches. So make sure you get some arch supports. These are useful. They slip into your boot and give the same comfort as trainers, enabling you to walk around all day long, doing all the heavy lifting, no matter what the job is that you're doing. And you won't feel any pain at the end of the day. They will leave you feeling really good at the end of the day. So make sure you order yours at the TikTok shop for the price of less than a packet of chips.
Yeah, I could take you from the beginning.
What actually made you go down the musical route to begin with?
So I was really lazy as a kid, and I didn't practice. Like, I was taking piano lessons when I was like 6 and 7, but it never really stuck, and I always thought it was boring, and I always thought the approach was boring, and I never understood like the why aspect of what I was learning. But singing came pretty easily to me, not in the sense of like, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but like understanding how my voice works came pretty easily to me. And because of that, I went and got my master's degree in vocal performance and specializing in French chansons, but I also did German lieder and Italian arias and some Latin stuff. But I think that for me, like, I listened to a lot of Pavarotti when I was in my teenage years, a lot of classical music, but really kind of what sparked the interest in wanting to pursue music, I think largely was gaming music from when I was a kid, whether it was music from Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time was one of my favorites, but specifically my favorite game of all time is A Link to the Past, and the music in that is like, it's perfect. Also DuckTales, if you go really old, the NES version of DuckTales, perfect soundtrack. But anyway, I started, teaching. I taught privately and in the public sector for like 10 years, music, both groups, ensembles, mostly individually. But after about 10 years, mostly during COVID, the education kind of like sector, at least where I am, kind of petered out. And, kids and adults, their mindsets changed during COVID and during the pandemic. And the model that I was using for teaching wasn't working anymore. And I didn't have the time to retool the way in order to be successful. So hence jumped to healthcare. I don't know.
Yeah, I get that, because the pandemic actually highlighted many issues.
Yeah. For me, I don't know if you notice this with like your family or kids, like in education in the UK, but where I was teaching, I noticed even before the pandemic, like a lot of the kids that I would work with, even a lot of the adults too, it wasn't so much that they were looking to learn music so much after I kind of like probe like what it is they actually want to learn. If they would come to me in the beginning being like, I want to learn how to sing. Okay. And as the weeks went by, I would actually find out, deep down, they didn't actually want to learn how to sing so much as that sometimes they were there just to have like 30 minutes of like safe space to be themselves and not be judged. And so a lot of times my approach to teaching, especially youngsters, was less about like the technical aspect of music, whether it's theory or like the vocal apparatus or even guitar, piano, which I also teach too, but like more so of, is it okay that I want to learn about this particular thing, or I just almost like without telling me, like I just need 30 to 45 minutes of just hanging out with somebody who's not going to judge me academically, grade me, or browbeat me because I didn't do a homework assignment that I was supposed to work 30 minutes ago. And it's the same thing too with adults, especially with older adults.
Yeah.
Older adults, when it comes to music, is largely the same. They carry so much emotional baggage. A lot of times I ask them why, they waited so long to kind of like get back into music, just kind of like informally. And a lot of them told me basically the same story of so and so told me I sound like crap when I sang as a child, or everyone told me that my voice sounded like nails on a chalkboard. And that just kind of like killed me a little bit, because like that's so many wasted years of exploring, their own instrument that they could have done, but because they replayed that story over and over and over in their head of, my mother or father or friend told me that I sounded terrible when I sang, that they never gave themselves the chance to, I guess, love themselves as far as singing goes.
Hey, content creators, this is my chance to do a quick review of a product I bought on a TikTok shop, and I think you guys are going to love it. It's a green screen disc that fits on the back of a chair. It can fit to almost any surface, and if you've got a area like a flat or a single bedroom or a bedsit where you're living in where you've got no space, this is ideal for those who are using it for things like Twitch, streaming, or just general YouTube videos. Like so. So get yours in the TikTok shop today. I'll leave the link in there.
So yeah, I became a pseudo psychologist. I like to refer to myself as, but I as time went on, I realized I did not have the background, and I did not have the experience nor the tools to help a lot of these people. So that was also part of the going into the into the more healthcare driven route, the safe route.
I mean, when you look at teachers just in general, they do tend to become heroes, reluctant heroes. And that is because their job is to teach the next generation. Then they provide sounding board and they provide the encouragement. They pass on their wisdom and experience to other people. And teaching is still one of the most noble professions out there. And also, any expert is a natural evolution in any kind of expertise. Once you've hit to that sort of level, you want to give back. You want to teach the next generation. And that is quite admirable what you have done for many people, both adults and youngsters, especially those who are carrying a lot of trauma with them. Music has such a great empowerment to it. And you can hear that with a lot of the video game music which is out there. Fatal Fury, that kind of environment of gaming. Even if you look at the PlayStation 1, when they started bringing out the intro music to Soul Calibur, Soul Edge, that is like, it gets you into the mood. It has such a powerful way of or teach music game composition in terms of music composition, then you have a different technique to other people because of how you're doing things virtually. Would you like to explain that?
Sure. So one thing that I love to do, especially if I'm teaching a youngster that I understood like to be really into gaming, especially because obviously a lot of people are into gaming now, so that would be a lot of the times the segue I would use to like connect with them, be like, hey, like I'm into gaming too. So like take theoretically, let me think of something real quick. Okay, so everyone knows the Mario theme, right? You think about that, like it is
I forgot about Mario.
right? And the way I teach people, especially you're probably
Mhm.
familiar with like solfege, like do re mi fa sol la ti do, that kind of stuff, right? I actually abandoned that verbiage and aspect for
Yeah.
teaching, and I started using numbers. So
Mm.
let's take the Mario theme. That is just a series of numbers that can be translated through all 12 keys in the Western sense of music, which is just 3 3 3 1 3 5 5. And no matter what key you play it in, it's always going to be that series of numbers. So that's kind of like one of the things I kind of use to like introduce people to music theory, is just like take something they already know and translate it into numbers. And because it's already kind of impacted deep within their like soul of like, hey, I really like that game or something, they're able to connect with it better, and they can understand the why aspect of why are we learning music theory. Well, because we can connect it back to something that you like to do in your free time. Let me think of another one. I'm drawing blanks off, on top of my head. Okay, the DuckTales from the Moon theme. Again, it's still just a series of numbers. 1 2 3 4 5 5 1 7 1 2 3 1. It's all translatable. See if we can, I don't know, give me a challenge, I guess, like a well-known song everyone knows, and I can translate it into numbers. Hit me with one. See if you can give me a song everyone knows.
Right, so to give you a song that everyone knows, what in terms of TV themes, the Knight Rider.
Themes? Sure.
Knight
Blackadder.
Rider, 18, Blackadder, everyone knows Blackadder.
So, bum, 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 bum.
I'm surprised you even got Blackadder in the USA.
Yeah, actually, my wife.
Most people would be going Mr. Bean.
I love Blackadder. She got me into it. Blackadder and Father Ted are like the two of my favorite UK.
Hmm.
Yeah, because Father Ted's Northern Irish, right? Or is it Irish? I can't remember.
Yeah,
But
UK
anyway,
sense of humor is definitely different compared to the US Irish, but I think Northern Ireland,
so yeah,
which is
the
still
theme for
part of the
Blackadder
UK.
which is 1 5 1 1 5 1 3 plus 5, or sharp 5, or however you want to look at it. But yeah, like you can translate that to any key. You can compare it to like songs like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, which is 1 1 7 5 6 7 1, and you can do it in every key. Well, some of the older folks like the things like Somewhere Over the Rainbow, or they're able to connect better that way. But yeah, that's just kind of a little taste of kind of how I approach music, especially with youngsters, trying to get them to understand like music theory and connecting it to like gaming music. Because a lot of them want to like hit the ground running, be like, I want to do this, I want to do this, which is great. And I love the enthusiasm, but sometimes having that foundational kind of aspect of like, okay, I understand a little bit about how music works in Western aspects, but sometimes we have to pump the brakes a little bit. And every person's different, every mindset's different. And it's like a corralling their mindset constantly to have them understand like they are okay where they are right now, and just to learn one small thing is a huge accomplishment in one day. Instead of being amazing in like a week, you master one thing, one small thing, in a short amount of time or even a long period of time, and that's okay too.
Hey everyone, I got this massage gun from TikTok shop. I'm doing a quick review on it. So you have the gun itself, 4 different heads, and they're all worth it. Easy to fit on heads, easy to turn on, and different settings. So whatever kind of job you do, warehouse, driving, if you're coming back from the gym, hard day at work, this is ideal. And easy changeable. Even massaging different muscle groups, different settings. And if you put more pressure on it, it will put more pressure on the muscle too. And this is really good value for money. I got it from the TikTok shop and you won't regret it. Costs less than £20 compared to Amazon, over 50. So get yours on the TikTok shop today.
So
Yeah, because that must cause you a bit of frustrations, when you're dealing with yeah, that's fine. That must cause you a bit of frustrations when you're dealing with people levels in terms of their abilities and their style. Some are great when it comes to, visual techniques. Others are great when it comes to physically doing things and having that kinetic element behind it. I know for me, in terms of my learning style, for me, if I'm not standing around having emotion or physical aspects which are attached to any words, it is not retained. I can still read paragraphs and so forth. But if I want to ingest it into my head, I have to be speaking it. I have to be having emotion, movement to attach to it. And it took me a long time to recognize that. But, when I was in school, the only way of learning at that time was sit down, read, recite. It will go into your head. It didn't necessarily work with me until I started listening more from active learning while driving cars. I do the same thing now in terms of different ways of learning because of it. And, you being a teacher, you must have a lot of constant development that you're doing all the time so that you find better teaching techniques, because this is new to me. Most people will learn by the scales. Most people will learn by repeat after me. This is how you got to do it. And you've attached mathematics to notes, whereas the traditional way of doing it was notes on like I can't remember what they call it, stenography with the lines and stuff like that. So this is actually quite fascinating, and more importantly, it sounds very groundbreaking. Because it's a new way of teaching against the traditionally accepted methodology. You must have found a lot of frustrations when putting this forward to, for example, the colleges that you worked at. No, this is our syllabus. This is the way I'm pretty that inspired you to take more the freelance side on.
So I think the biggest frustration was getting that message to the public middle schools and high schools. The college work was fine because they kind of let me do whatever, and they didn't bother me, I didn't bother them, so I was like, whatever, that's cool. The private stuff, obviously I could, tailor everything that I wanted to, but when I would go into schools, and I did teach in the public consistently, I guess like a year and a half, getting to change their mindset about what really education means was like, it's like pulling teeth. The I'm sure it's this pretty similar in the UK, but like the way the education system is set up in the United States, at least typically, is kind of like this or slash post industrial revolution kind of like you were saying, like you sit down, you read, you memorize by rote, and then you regurgitate facts. That's really only helpful if you're learning to like pull a lever or like flip a switch in like a Henry Ford factory, like making cars or something. But when it comes to like critical thinking, like that's pretty damning. And I think you had said too, like that methodology didn't work for you. It doesn't work for most people. It works for people that have that kind of way of learning of like just memorization and regurgitation. But I think for the majority of people, like having experiential learning, like using, like you said, like speaking, using the physical aspect of your person to like embed knowledge or what you want to learn, or having it connect to you something deeply meaningful to you. Like we don't do that, which sucks. And so like an example would be I was guest conducting this group at this middle school, and they sounded like a mid or it was a high school band, but it was like early high school band, and they sounded fine, whatever. You could tell that a lot of the kids weren't into it. It was just like meh. And then I kind of like took them through this process of like, oh, music really is 99% of just like a ordering and reimagining of the numbers 1 through 7 major scale. So I was like, okay, one person, I want you to improvise, and then they said improvise, like the concept of like improvising, how we've done music for to them, because like this means of you either have it or you don't. You have to learn it this way and this way only. This the I guess you would call it the neoclassical kind of way. We only tend to look at public school how music is approached in um, the Western European side, from like Bach on, like ignoring like stuff from Africa or India or Asia, something like written sheet music, but we ignore how other places around the world approach music, and most of them approach it in an improvisatory kind of way. So I was like, improvise. You can play any of these notes and it'll sound cool, quote unquote. And then and then this person was improvising. I was like, cool, cool, cool. And then I was like, hey, drummer, start drumming something. And they're like, what? Something. And then they naturally gravitated to what that first person was doing. And then I slowly added more people in and more people in. And suddenly you have like this new composition that everyone's starting to listen to each other and play with each other, but without having that kind of like strict direction of like, you're going to start here on bar 4, and then you're going to come in here crescendo to fortissimo, and then you're going to cut out, and then I want you to play staccato here. It was more, I tried to make it as more like spontaneous and organic, because I think that's what a lot of people need, is that freedom to feel like they can express themselves without having to.
Hi everyone, I am doing a quick review today on I am eyeball in the TikTok shop. Now showerhead is actually really good, because if you live in a place which is like a flat where you've got a coffee boiler, or you haven't got access to a power shower and you've got gravity-based shower water feed, then this is ideal for you, because it does multiple settings. It converts the water into, as you can see, sprinkle, waking you up in the morning, getting you going, moving it forward. And if you had a hard day at work or in the gym or wherever, if you've been training hard, this is the massage setting, and it will make sure that you're reinvigorated. So get yours on the TikTok shop today. Link is in there. And if you guys don't know how to do that, you won't even go back to school. So it says, you know who.
Like, listen to somebody telling them what to do all the time. And that's why I hate public education. I mean, there's more to it, but yeah, there's a lot to.
I didn't catch the last part. That's why you are.
That's why I detest public education.
Yeah. And again, there has to be innovators in there to be able to argue point and hopefully change the hearts and minds of the makers. Being on the internet now, and you've got your own platform, your own website, social media element, so you've created a brand for yourself, which is all one wrapper. Everything all links to that. In terms of this philosophy that you have, how are you finding the new frontier when it comes to getting people attracted to you?
I'll be honest, it's not easy, and I was doing fairly well during the beginning of the pandemic, but I think I just kind of got lost with, like, kind of like within the shuffle, and I could never really find how to kind of, like, I guess, present my philosophy to folk in a way that's digestible, because I tend to, I think, over talk and over complicate things to some extent. To like a more broader audience. Really kind of what I'm looking for now is just like to be like, anybody who is listening now, like, I'd love to talk music with you, and if you've ever thought about like picking up guitar or just like twinkling on the piano but didn't really know where to start, or wanted to take it to that next level, like, that's what I'm happy to help people with. Is less like a teacher and more of a guide of like dismantling what people think they know and what it is they're actually capable of, and what is quote unquote acceptable in the music realm and what's not, because there's a lot of gatekeeping in music, especially with jazz and classical stuff. It can be demoralizing to some people to have like, professional musicians kind of imply like, oh, you're not good enough, or like, why don't you stick to this instead. There's a lot of shit talking. I'm of the mindset of like, I'd like to empower as many people as possible that want to do what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the big stories that I remember was the guitar virtuosist Joe Satriani, and one of his students was Steve Vai. Now, Joe Satriani, he takes you on a journey in his music. Love Thang, Crying, these kinds of tracks, and they have that in mind. Again, you get that with Michael Jackson and Prince as musical artists, but just as an instrumentalist, and then to pass that on. Because he didn't go to a public school and teach it that way. He had people come to him, and his methodology was completely different. Even his playing style was completely different. So, and what I found, when I started picking up the guitar, just strumming, and piano was a different matter, because, you go to a hospital, you see a piano there, and all you know is go up and down the scales. But with guitar, suddenly you start making sounds and you're putting it together, and then you think, wow, I'm making something out of this. And that's an acoustic. So imagine what happens with an electric one. Seeing artists like Andy McKee with finger picking elements of just phenomenal. And I think with the power of things like YouTube, MySpace, because of the aspects of Google having opened YouTube, years ago, it's made it getting that reach out to the general population now. You have to be a little bit more knowledgeable, would be the best way of putting it. And I think the rise in social media like Facebook and issues that I was having on Facebook just now compared to what I had 2 years ago, where I could easily do what I'm doing right now, they took that element away. So reaching within this, I think for any person within the gaming dad business entrepreneurial community, I think this is an important thing to digest and constant knowledge in ways one, because networking has changed. It's no longer going into the breakfast networking meetings like the BNIs, for networking, so on and so forth. That used to be the predominant way of getting your name out there and getting referrals. It now seems to be, the let's have a great video, and hopefully it will go viral, or let's put it out there and hopefully we'll get 1 or 2 people coming to us. So it's eliminating, Facebook ads was originally that thing because it could go across multiple platforms. Now it's not as dominant as it used to be. Organic marketing now not as dominant as it used to be because the frontier has changed. And what's happening in the USA with the TikTok ban, which is coming in tomorrow, where I've seen a lot of US content creators who were very, very popular on TikTok. TikTok done their rubbish because they followed Facebook, which was to limit your organic reach and then take over, use the advertising platform to try and get more content creators. The content creators suffer from it, whereas they used to have thousands of views and hundreds of thousands. Suddenly, the reach just went downhill. So I'm guessing from this, I take it that you're constantly developing. What advice would you give now to other people who are in your sort of expertise? Because you are an expert. Let's make no mistake about this. You're an expert in your teaching style, your teaching ability, your way to get the message across, getting that message out there across. How are you doing this? Or are you finding that there's a lot of difficulties now?
There's a lot of difficulties, and I think a lot of it too stems from I think
That's a loaded question, I know.
no, that's good. It's a great question. Like a lot, I think personally, because I'm 38. I've got two kids. I got a wife, and like trying to balance day job, artistry, doing family stuff, normal house stuff. I think and still I want to game once in a while a little bit. I'll be honest, I've kind of fallen off the getting the message out there wagon, because I think especially during the latter years of the pandemic, it was a little bit demoralizing being okay, I did get students, but I could never retain them in the sense of keeping them long term, because a lot of times they had either financial difficulty, or they just ran out of time, or they lost interest. And I live in Maine. If you ever decide to visit or research Maine, which if you ever decide to visit Maine, please feel free. We would love to have you and host you and your fam. The state is 1.3 million people, and it's the largest land state in New England. It's very, very rural.
No way.
If you like lobster and blueberries,
Pin country, that's where he gets all his ideas from.
So if you like, lobster rolls and quiet hikes and rocky beaches, Maine is the place to be.
Well, I know we've explored an awful lot here, and I know that we're going to have to bring this to an end, and I'm really enjoying this. I want to finish on a positive note. So for a better tomorrow, basically, what is your sort of, all right, well, here's what we need to do for, a better tomorrow, for expanding the reach, for helping businesses and people who are starting out like yourself. You're not starting out, you've got there doing business at the moment.
So kind of I think especially in our group in GD, it'd be just to reach out to prospective and budding business owners, literally just reach out with a hey, how's it going, or just a quick hi, because I think that means a lot more to people than especially men, where there's I don't know what it's like in the UK, but I think I've seen a lot of research in the US that there's a lot of loss of social connection for men in the US, and a lot of depression because they don't tend to not, socialize as much as women.
Yeah.
Like just a quick kind of like vote of encouragement, because I don't know how many dudes out there like get like a quick like, hey man, you're doing great, and I just wanted to say keep up what you're doing. I think that means a lot. Those little things mean a lot more to people than I think a lot of people give credit.
Erasmus, this has been absolutely amazing. And I thank you for the time that you've given us, especially on your Saturday when you could be spending it with family. Been misled by a couple of platforms, but thank you, and I hope to do this again for a better streaming platform. And let's take it all one step at a time. But you've been absolutely inspiring. And before I go, what is your favorite platform to play games on? Xbox, PlayStation, mobile gaming, PC?
Okay, so I play Xbox. I do a lot of retro gaming, but I play almost every day Dota 2 on Steam. So
And mobile gaming is gaming. I'm sorry, I have to say that.
yeah, totally. But if anyone wants to join me on Defense of the Ancients 2 on Steam, just shoot me a message on Facebook, and I'd love to party with you and just connect and just hang out and talk music and talk whatever. So yeah, Dota 2 is my jam on Steam. And just message me if...
All right, let's do this.
All right.
And you're how to get in contact with you for music?
You can...
No, how to get you...
Come again?
Sorry about this, guys. A little bit of internet connectivity here. Your website.
My website is down for right now, but you can reach me on Instagram at Erasmus.
Brilliant. I will put in the links and connections onto the description. Erasmus, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much again. All right, guys. I'm going to sign out on behalf of Gaming Dads. Thank you for joining me. Take care, guys. Bye.